Pretty spiritual.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Pretty Spiritual. Hey hun.
Hey hun.
How are you?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. I'm really good. So, before we get into our topic of the week, would you like to share your high vibe and low vibe from the past week?
Yeah, okay. So my low vibe, I've really struggled to kind of stick to a schedule, and like little things in daily life have just been cropping up that have been throwing me off course. My high vibe is that it's my birthday tomorrow.
Woo woo.
Without going into too much detail, it's going to be a much better birthday. I'm feeling so much more positive than I did last year. I feel like I've had a lot of growth in the last year. So I'm really looking forward to it.
So what have you got planned for your birthday weekend?
So I'm going for a lovely walk with my dog and my partner. Going to stop off for some lunch, have a few drinks.
That sounds perfect.
What about you, hun? What's your low vibe, high vibe for the week?
So, very similar to you, my low vibe this week is that I have felt quite chaotic as well in my energy. I'm definitely feeling what is going on in the universe at the moment.
It's the moon.
It is definitely the moon and the planets. And yeah, I've just felt very similar. I've been so excited to record today. I feel like I've not really slept much all week because I've just been so excited for podcast recording. So yeah, feeling a bit tired, but excited. So we move. So my high vibe for the week is that somebody who is very, very dear to me has completed their treatment plan this week. They've not been very well, and this week marks the end of their treatment. So that is like a little win. Yay. And I'm just very, very happy about that.
It's a lovely like end to the week, isn't it?
It is perfect.
So this week we're talking about things that nobody really tells you when you're on your healing journey.
Yeah, and I think this is such an important topic because it can be a lot, it can be intense, and I think people need to be as prepared as they can. I think it's really important to be open and honest with people about what to expect with their healing journey.
Yeah, I think it's really important not to be under an illusion that it's straightforward and it's going to be, you wake up and you're on this journey. Like, it's hard, isn't it? So,
yeah.
What did you think healing would look like for you?
So, I think I was probably a bit naive when I thought about healing, and I very much romanticised the outcome and how it would look and feel to be fully healed. And I don't think I quite understood or thought about the process that would happen to sort of get to that place. And don't get me wrong, I'm not claiming to be fully healed by any stretch.
You know my view on that.
Yes. But I think you very much focus on kind of the destination, and you don't think too much about what the journey is going to look like.
Yeah, I think you just touched on it. I think for me, there is no, and this is my personal opinion, there is no such thing as fully healed. It's a continuous journey. And I personally think that our soul contracts in this lifetime that we're in only end when we die, obviously. And that is a point of where you've done the healing work that you were set out to do here in this lifetime. I think it's really easy to forget about the in-between because you have that goal of being healed, or more healed in my opinion. And there's a lot of work involved, and that's something that you don't realize. I myself went into it naively, and I thought, right, I'm going to change my mindset. I'm going to change these aspects about my life, and I'm going to feel amazing, and life's going to be perfect. And I mean, life is better, but there is still so much work to do. And even though I'm a far different person and a far more healed person than what I was, there is still so much more to do.
Definitely. And so what is one thing that you wish people had told you about healing and going on a healing journey that you think would have helped?
Like warned me about before I went into it?
Yeah.
I would say having to face my shadows. And it took me a long time to actually understand what shadows were.
Yeah.
Because I was like, huh? What shadows?
And for anyone that doesn't know what shadows are, How would you explain that?
I think shadows are areas of yourself, this is my interpretation anyway, that you don't like about yourself. You don't want other people to see, or it's guilt, it's shame, it's stuff that we internalize, like essentially things that you aren't happy about. And I think it's really important for people to know you have to face those to be able to move forward, and you can be resistant to it, but they're always going to come back. And a lot of the time that does look like, oh, I don't like this aspect of my personality. I don't like these internal thoughts that I have about myself, limiting beliefs, things like that. A shadow is just something for me that holds me back from my next step in healing. And it, like I said, it's very, very important that you face those or start to face those. And there's lots of ways that you can do that, but just know if you don't face them, they are going to hold you back.
I think that is such a good explanation of shadows. Like you say, I think a lot of it's things that we've almost suppressed without knowing. It's the parts of us that we've ignored, or the parts of us that we've hidden away, things that maybe we've experienced in our lives that we kind of want to forget about. So we've buried them. But a lot of the time, especially things that happen during our childhood, a lot of us were not equipped to process them in the right way. So it's almost like we've kind of stored that still, and we need to come back to that to be able to process it fully, because every single thing that's happened to us in our life is part of who we are and part of our story. And like you say, I think it's almost learning to accept the parts of us that we've not wanted to accept, or that we've not been able to, that we felt ashamed of. And I think that is so difficult.
It is really difficult. And I think it's really important to say that, like in early childhood or things that have happened in life, and they may not be major traumatic events, but all of the things in your childhood condition you to be the person that you are today. So there might be aspects of your personality that you don't like and you wish you could change. And that all stems from childhood. Our brains are malleable. And yeah, the thing is, people think, oh, that's just my personality. There is some elements of truth to that, but you can change your personality from dealing with your shadows. And I know that I'm a much better person than what I was a couple of years ago. And I can actively look back and reflect and think, wow, look at the growth.
And I think that is, it's that perspective, isn't it? And I think you've just touched on something that's really important, which is, as you're going through this process, which isn't always pretty and which is really difficult, it is important to always look back and kind of remember and see the growth and the progress. I think we can be really good at looking at other people and recognizing and celebrating their progress, but we don't always show that same level of compassion and recognition to ourselves.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the things that when you're on this journey that can be quite tough, it's kind of like, okay, actually, I can see that the growth's happened here. And although it was tough, it's kind of like, yeah, this was worth it.
So what about you, hun? What do you wish someone had warned you about your healing journey before you embarked on it?
So something that I noticed is that almost completely overnight, I lost interest in things that previously I had really enjoyed, and it was kind of like my perspective just completely changed. So I went through a phase where I completely went off drinking alcohol, and don't get me wrong, I'm not a big drinker, but I do enjoy a glass of wine. And there was a period of probably 7 or 8 months where I just had absolutely no interest at all in having a glass of wine at home, having a glass of wine with a meal. And it's a small thing, but I just had absolutely no interest in it. And this isn't a bad thing, by the way. This is not a bad thing. This is a good thing. But it's something that I, just didn't expect to happen.
I remember going for dinner with you, and it must have been in the midst of like your healing journey when this period was happening. And I was like, oh, I'm going to have a glass of wine. And then you were like, no. And I was like, huh?
Well, What's happening?
So I'm drinking on my own. Okay.
Honestly, it's so strange, isn't it? Like, it's really strange. But that was one of the things for me. But there were lots of things. Something else that I completely lost interest in was like watching reality TV.
Okay.
So again, really random. Always quite enjoyed watching reality TV,
No
but
Real Housewives,
felt like I had no tolerance for it whatsoever. All of these things are, wine, reality TV, they all seem pretty insignificant and trivial when you think about it. But I actually think that the underlying theme is that you're starting to seek peace and seek calm, and some of the things that we absorb and do day to day can kind of disrupt that calm, especially if your nervous system is already struggling and you're already overwhelmed or you're feeling stressed. So I just completely went off certain things, which I didn't really expect at all.
I mean, do you remember when I did my level 1 energy healing, and I literally the next day after my initiation I woke up a vegetarian?
Yes.
I mean,
yes, I remember. I remember loud and clear the voice note. Hun, I don't want to eat meat anymore.
Hun, I've woke up and I think I'm a vegetarian. But it's
like, okay, hun.
It's another example about how like things in this healing journey, like you do go off things, but it just shows when your body is going through a change like that, it's almost like detoxing and cleansing, I think. It is, like I said, it's a shock, it's an adjustment. But it's really powerful, actually, that your body can give you those signals and tell you that's not what you need right now.
Yeah, I think that is so interesting. And you saying that it's a detox, that's exactly what it is, isn't it? It is a detox. And like you say, I think a lot of the time we do a lot of the things that we do because we're listening to our brain. Whereas when you start connecting and listening to what your body wants, I think those two things can be quite different.
Very, very different, yeah. So do you think that people noticed that you started to change during your healing journey, or do you think you managed to kind of not keep it under wraps, but maintain kind of the presence you were giving prior?
So I think people started to notice a change in me, and they were probably quite confused about what was going on, to be honest, because I think certain things that I used to enjoy, I just had no desire to do. So if someone asked me to go out for a few drinks on a weekend, I went through a phase where I was just like, no, I really don't want to do that. But also I just had a general feeling and desire to stay at home and to kind of retreat and to be in my own safe space. I just, really wanted to kind of be alone, and not in a way that anyone had done anything wrong, and not even in a way that I was upset.
Wallowing in self-pity.
It wasn't that. It was just this real desire to want to be at home and be in my own space and process, I think, was what was going on. I think in the background there was a lot of processing that was going on. But then I've also made some pretty big life changes since being on this journey. So I think some of those changes have come as a shock to people as well, and people can't help but notice then, when you're changing what it is that you want to do and how you want to spend your time, and stopping doing things that you enjoyed previously and starting to do new things that you've never done before, people notice.
They do.
I think some people get it and accept it, and other people probably just don't. So what about you? What started changing the most for you?
I think for me, because my journey started after a very big depressive episode, immediately there was positive kind of changes, and I noticed I felt stronger in my mind, and I started putting in boundaries, which I'd never done before, and that was a lot of my downfall, that I was just like, I wasn't holding myself to the boundaries I needed to put in place, and I was just letting people walk all over me, essentially.
I think a lot of people can relate to that.
Yeah.
I think putting boundaries in place can be really difficult, especially with the people that you love. So I feel like there'll be a lot of hard relates on that.
Yeah, and I think what led me to crashing was the fact that I was a horrific people pleaser. I was saying yes to everything people asked me to do, work and personal life. I was just literally a doormat, and that is one of the biggest changes I think people experienced in me, because I was no longer saying yes, I was saying no. And there's so much power in the word no. And I always see this quote, and it's like, no is a single word. It's probably not the way that you say it, but no has a full stop after it. It's not a continuation. And when I got that in my head, I was like, okay, I can say no. I mean, it's scary. And I think it's really important. This goes on to another topic as well. When you start saying no, when you start putting boundaries in place, people do not like that. Some people that are in your life will accept that and grow with you, but some people find it really hard to accept that you're no longer at the frequency you were at before. You're no longer saying yes to them, and they see you as difficult. But that is no reflection on you. That is a reflection on them as a person. And it's a really powerful thing to reflect on now, because I used to feel guilty and I'd have anxiety. Like, I just said no. Like, it takes so much for me to say no. And I'd be like, what are they saying about me? Oh, they're not going to be happy, blah, blah, blah. But now I'm like, no means no. And you will lose people in this process. And it's not just from setting boundaries, it's other aspects of this. But I think it's really important to know, if you do lose people, whether it's friends, family, whoever, then that's part of the journey. They're not supposed to be in your life at that moment in time. It's not to say that they're gone forever. They may come back at a later time, but it's a natural shedding process that happens, and it's what no longer serves you. And I think if you can keep that at the forefront of your mind and know that you'll be okay, and let's face it, losing people is hard. In some cases, it's not so hard, and you're like, oh, well, we've just naturally drifted. And sometimes it's a bit more dramatic than that, and it could be like a really close family member or a really close friend. But I just think it's really important for people just to trust the process and know that it is for their greater good.
Yeah, absolutely. I completely agree with everything that you've just said. It's almost like people often benefit from an unhealed version of us.
They do.
Which sounds like a really strange thing to say, but I think when you're somebody who is really empathetic, which a lot of us are, let's be honest, and you want to help people and you want to get along with people and you kind of want peace in relationships, we often do, we fail to put boundaries in place. We say yes to too much. And essentially what we do is we prioritize other people above prioritizing ourselves.
Yes.
And when we start on this journey of self-healing and self-love, we're putting ourselves back in the driver's seat. And we're not saying that we haven't got time for anyone else.
No.
But everybody else has to come second to that.
Yeah.
And some people really do struggle with that, because it's kind of like, they take it as almost a personal rejection. They feel rejected because all of a sudden you've been doing X, Y, Z for them and now you're not. So I think that can be really, almost a bit of a shock to them, because they've not been seeing it as, I'm benefiting from this person.
No, it's just normal.
But they have.
Yeah.
They've been benefiting from you and the amount of energy that you've poured into them. And you're sort of saying, yeah, that's coming back to me now.
Yeah, I'm keeping my power back. Yeah, really important to remember that. I think they can see it as a personal rejection, but they can also see it as a negative reflection on themselves as well. They could see like, well, what have I done wrong? Why are they acting this way towards me? And I think it's just really important to just remember, this is your healing journey. This is your life. You are in control of this ship. Everybody else has got their own life experience. It's as simple as that, really. And it is really hard to detach from the emotional side of that. And I mean, I'm not saying I'm perfect at it. I still feel guilty when I say no to people. But as long as you're remembering that you're doing this for you and every decision you make has to benefit you and you only, I think you're on your way to a more positive life.
Yeah, I agree. And I think as well, like from growing up, a lot of us are encouraged not to be selfish. And I think sometimes we've forgotten that there is a difference between self-love and being selfish. And I think in our brains, sometimes we see self-love and pouring into ourselves as being selfish. But that's not the case at all. But I think a lot of us have been conditioned to think, okay, no, that's selfish. I need to put others before myself. Like, where has that come from?
You know that saying, respect your elders?
Yeah.
I hate it. I hate it. And it's not saying that I don't have respect for my elders. I have respect for every single person until they disrespect me.
Yeah.
And that is just my motto when it comes to dealing with people. And I don't care if you are 75, 55, older than me, the same age as me. If you cannot have the same level of respect for me as you wish to have for yourself, not happening. Like, I'm a person in my own human experience. You're a person in your human experience. Age should not come into it. And that's another example of conditioning and how like it changes your thought process. And people might disagree with me there, but that's just my personal opinion. And you see it a lot when families merge together and it's like, oh, you must have respect because they're like, I don't know, like their grandparent or something like that. But you know what? No, if this goes against kind of my morals and my belief, what you're saying to me, this is my opinion on it, or these are my feelings on it, I'm allowed to have my opinion, and it's not to say that you're right, I'm wrong, or vice versa. And I just really don't like the term respect your elders. That's one thing that drives me absolutely insane. I think everybody should have equal levels of respect, and how you respect others is how they will respect you. It's that same level.
Couldn't agree more. I completely agree with that. Respect is a two-way thing, and it's earned and it's reciprocated. So I totally agree. Have you noticed any physical changes since you started your healing journey? Has there been anything that you've noticed in yourself, your body, your appearance? Because this is something that I don't think people talk about enough.
I am a chronic illness girly. So I have multiple chronic illnesses, as we know. And I think you can back me up here. Prior to my journey, was struggling so much with my illnesses. I was in and out of like kind of hospital, seeing consultants. I was constantly at medical appointments trying to figure out what is wrong with me. I know what is wrong with me in some aspects, but I was constantly getting a new diagnosis. I was constantly struggling with how I felt. It was making me depressed. And it was just horrible. And I thought, oh my God, this is my life. Like, great. And I remember saying to you, I just want to wake up refreshed.
Yeah.
I mean, that is a hard task in itself, waking up refreshed. I've actually come to realise not many people do that.
No.
But it was really, really hard. And then I noticed it subtly that things started to change when I was waking up not refreshed, but in a better mood and had more energy. I then noticed I was taking less of the medications I was having forced down my throat. I noticed I was having less pain. I noticed my mindset had changed in terms of my mental health. And I'm now in a point in my life where I'm not on half the medication I was on prior to this. And I'm not saying spirituality has cured me, but for me, the mindset change has made a huge difference. And the fact that, I mean, don't get me wrong, I still get bad joints. I still have flare-ups and things like that. And definitely in the beginning of my healing journey, I was getting more flare-ups, like my body was reacting. But I'm able to not withstand a lot more kind of activities than I did before, because it's still not 100%. But my pain levels are so much lower. again, caveat, I'm not saying spirituality can cure that. I think a lot of it is to do with my mindset.
Yeah.
But it's such a nice place to be.
I can imagine that. And I remember when you were in that place, and it was so difficult because you wanted answers for such a long time, and we were trying to, you know, do everything to try and get them. And yeah, you were going through a really, really rough time. And fast forward to now, and like you say, I know you still experience flare-ups, but it's kind of like things just feel more in balance for you.
Yeah.
It's like everything has kind of calmed down a little bit and is finding more of a balance in your body.
It's not my day-to-day life anymore, whereas it had consumed my day-to-day life. Now, don't get me wrong, I was in a pretty good place in the summer of last year, but I ended up having to have major surgery to deal with one of my medical conditions. So like I said, it's not that it cured me, but it was no longer consuming me.
Yeah.
And I'm very aware of what my capabilities are in my day-to-day and whether I push it too far. Whereas before it was just a constant, this feels horrible. So I think that for me is one of my favorite things about my journey is I'm in such a better place than what I was before, physically and mentally.
Yeah. And are there any key spiritual practices that you feel give you the most benefits or relief to those symptoms? Like, what things do you think have really contributed to that improvement?
I would say the first thing, which I know isn't accessible to everyone, is energy healing. That is my monthly reset. That is my recalibration. And it definitely helps keep me on a level. The second thing is journaling. So journaling for me allows me to literally put everything that I am holding inside into a story that I'm creating. And it's been so powerful to do that. And I was thinking, like, when I was younger, I used to have a journal, you know, like, dear diary, today.
Yeah.
And it was really hard for me to, like, start to journal. I bought so many journals. I've tried to journal so many times. I even had ones with prompts. And I'm like, I can't, like, I just had so many notebooks at one point. But something changed me and I was like, just write down my feelings. I was like, okay. And I started telling this story and it started to flow. And it's had a massive shift in me because I'm no longer harboring inside everything I'm feeling. And getting it out onto paper, it has been great for me.
It kind of, I think journaling just relieves your mind of some of the pressure, doesn't it? Because we all have a million things going around in our heads. And I think it's a really simple but effective tool. And like you say, it's interesting what you were saying about childhood, because a lot of us do keep a diary as children. And we probably don't really know why we're doing it.
Do you remember those fluffy purple ones with the lock on it?
Yeah, and they'd come with like the nice little pen with, I used to love those. And it's really interesting, isn't it? Because it's almost like that's been a tool that probably we have all done at some point since being a child, not really knowing why we're doing it at that point. We're just writing stuff down. But it's like that release, isn't it? It's a way that we can just get out of our mind, get everything down on paper and come back into our body.
Yeah, I think those kind of childhood elements are really important in your journey as well. Like, I know reading fantasy and fiction for me recently has been a great tool in my healing journey because it's starting to heal like my imagination, which is something you have as a kid, but conditioning means that I've become basically empty up there.
Empty up there.
But that's really, really helped. And there are things that I always did as a kid. So, Hun, what is one thing that you think people should know about their healing journey?
I think the main thing is that when you're healing, you will get past experiences and past events and past trauma that will bubble back up to the surface. And you'll find that you start thinking about things and people that maybe you haven't in a while. And all that is that your body store trauma. And There might be things that we have deliberately kind of pushed away and gone, yeah, I've dealt with that. When you start regulating your nervous system and your body starts to feel safe, those things that we haven't processed fully will start to resurface. So you might find that you are sat on a random Wednesday afternoon and you start thinking about a breakup from when you were 16 years old. Or you might go to bed one night and have a dream about somebody that you used to be friends with, that you had a big fallout with. Now, I think what is really, really important is to firstly recognise that this is actually a good thing, because your body feels safe to be able to kind of process what's happened, whereas previously it didn't.
Yeah.
And the second thing is, just because you start having thoughts about somebody from the past or having dreams about somebody from the past, that does not mean that these people belong in your future. It is simply your body telling you that there was some trauma around this situation and we now need to process it. So what I would be doing, rather than like sending a text to somebody and think,
this is your public service announcement. Do not text your ex.
Do not text your ex under any circumstances. Do not text a previous narcissistic friend. That is not needed. We don't need to do that. Do not do that. What you should be doing is journaling.
Yeah.
If you have things like this that are coming to the surface, journal it. Journal what happened. Journal how you felt. Journal what it did to you. Journal what you experienced. And then what I would personally be doing is burning that in the fire.
Burn it.
And give it back to the universe, because there is something so healing in doing that. And like I say, it can be really annoying because you're like, oh, why am I thinking about this person, or why is this cropped up? But actually, it's a really good sister. It's a really good signal that your body feels safe enough to be able to process something that previously it didn't feel like it was able to do in the way that you needed.
I just want to add on that, if you cannot burn things, you can bury it in the ground, or you can put it in the freezer.
Or just put it in your rubbish bin outside the house, get it out your house.
I mean, I love putting people in a freezer.
Oh, I love that. Okay. So what advice would you give to somebody who is on their healing journey and they feel like things are falling apart and feeling a little bit chaotic around them?
I mean, I am the queen of chaos. I thrive in chaos, constantly striving for a normal state. Now, I think the important thing to remember is that healing is not linear. It is a journey, which means you're going to have ups and downs, and you're going to have times where you feel really low vibe all of the time. And it's about how you, one, deal with that, and then reflecting on it and seeing if you've, I mean, I look back and think, wow, I've dealt with this completely differently. I've had growth, and recognizing the growth, but also just accepting it for what it is. Life has ups and downs. Things aren't always going to go your way. You are not going to have, I mean, great if you can manifest lucky girl syndrome and life is absolutely perfect. Please tell me how. But that's just life. And healing has, they say life has ups and downs, so does healing. It's as simple as that. And sometimes you need those downs to be able to then go to the next level, like progress to the next stage of your healing journey. Because that for me means there's something that you need to face. That's something that you need to process and deal with or learn. It's a learning curve.
Yeah.
And it's called a learning curve, not a learning line.
Definitely.
So we've talked a lot about the kind of ups and the downs, but what's one positive thing that you can give to the viewers to tell them why is it worth looking at going through a healing journey? I know some people, it just happens naturally because life forces you into it, but if people are actively looking to heal themselves, why should people look at that?
I think it is difficult. We've mentioned that, but because giving yourself the time and the grace to be able to heal is the biggest gift that you can give yourself. And the journey as we've mentioned, will have ups and downs and it's not linear, but you will not lose anyone or anything that is meant to be in your life. It is about moving into true alignment, understanding who you truly are at the core and who you are truly meant to be.
Yeah.
And I think that in itself just gives you so much clarity and so much peace, and knowing that the people and the things around you are truly meant for you and meant for the healed version of you. That is just the best feeling. And I think it's the greatest gift that you can give to yourself.
I don't think I could have said it better myself, to be honest. Yeah, I think just to add on to that, it's a beautiful journey. It's a hard journey for some, but it is a beautiful journey. Thank you so much for joining us on another episode of Pretty Spiritual.
If you've enjoyed hanging out with us, then don't forget to like, subscribe, and follow along for more to make sure that you stay updated.
We hope to see you on the 17th of March for the next episode of
Pretty Spiritual.
Pretty Spiritual.